Hello everyone, welcome back to another Java video. In this video, we're going to solve a question that is going to calculate the mean for us when given a data set. So we're going to create a program that can accept infinite number of values, and after they input the word exit, we're going to output the mean of the inputted numbers. So let's get started. For us to calculate mean just is a special word for average, and an average is calculated by sum of all the data points that we have divided by the number of items we had. So we're going to need to have those variables created. So let's do some variable initialization. All right, so we're going to go double here because at one point we are going to do a division operation. So for safety, I'd like to just keep it as a double. We can say total sum. We haven't found it yet, so we're going to initialize it to 0. We're also going to have a double because we're going to be dividing this total sum by a value. So just to be safe, keep it as a double. We're going to have a counter and set to 0. We haven't counted anything yet. Okay, now we're going to be doing some input. So what I'm going to do is declare a variable that's going to handle my inputs. So we're going to call this input, set it to an empty string. And we can say this is an empty string like that. And inside a loop, we're going to be just updating this value as we go. Here, we're going to create an infinite while loop here just to have our life a little easier. So we're going to infinitely do something, right? We're going to have infinite number of values potentially. All right, and then we're going to say, well, system.out.println, enter a value. And then we can say input is equal to sc.nextLine. The reason why we're using next line here first, because I want to check if that input, which is a string variable, which I have initialized, is an exit first before I convert it into a number that I want to use. So I can say if input equals exit, let's do it all uppercase. Then we can say system.out.println. Thank you for using our program. Okay, so we have that, and then we can use a break. This is a keyword to help us exit our while loop. Else, we have the following. We can say that, well, it was an exit, and we are hoping that they have given us actual proper numeric values. Then we can say variable double current value. It's going to be equal to, let's just call it num. Like, that's too lengthy. Let's call it num. And we're going to say double num is equal to double parse double the input value. And then total sum is going to be equal to total sum plus num. And then we're going to do counter plus plus to increase the number of counter. Okay. Alrighty, so the while loop increases total sum and counter. Now we're going to need to calculate our average. Okay, so we can say that if if counter does not equal 0, we can say double average or mean is equal to our total sum, all divided by our counter. Then we can do system.out.println. Mean is plus average, semicolon, and we're done. We can say else. Else we can't divide by 0, so we can say system.out.println no average, no mean calculated. Like that. Let's save it work. And then we can say Java C, video 19 Java, run our code. We can enter values of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and we can do an exit, and our mean is 30.0. It's, right in the middle. It makes sense. So there we go. In our program, we also handle a situation where it was just exit. Then we can say, thank you for using our program. No mean calculated. All right, so let's break down our problem. Here we did some variable initializations. I created two double base variables. One's total sum and one's counter. Because we know that to calculate mean, we have to have a total sum of all values in our data set and divide by the number of items we had in our data set. Okay, we had a string input initialized here. This was just for us to infinitely input values inside our while loop, so that just to not recreate this over and over again, we wrote it inside like this. We're updating our input variable by this line. We have an infinite loop here that exits only if input is equal to exit at this point. All right, so we'll just output a little nice message and we'll break out. This is a keyword to help us exit a loop early. Okay, now if input wasn't exit, we get into our else, we create a new variable called num, and we convert that input value that we had into a double so that we can add it onto our total sum and increase counter every time we get a value. Once eventually we hit exit, we go into our if statement to have our average calculated. We can calculate the average as long as our counter isn't 0 because we cannot divide by counter. So we have this system here, this line here that calculates our mean average, and we get to output it like that. If the counter was ever 0, we would output no mean was calculated, and that was the end of our program. And as always, thank you for watching and stay classy.